Welcome back. It's no surprises. It's all on the expected lines, but the AQI, that's the Air Quality Index of the National Capital Region, has dropped to the very poor category. As I said, this is no surprises at all. This was expected, and sadly so, it is upon us. So is the commitment of our governments across states and the centre to how we breathe. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just make this deeply personal and just break this down for our viewers. If you don't know what you're breathing, which I'm sure anybody living in the National Capital Region knows by now, the level of toxic air that you're breathing. But if you don't, let me just break this down. All of us know smoking is injurious to health, whether you're a smoker or a non-smoker. So that's a non-debatable fact. It is injurious to health. A pack of cigarettes usually would have 10 cigarettes. The AQI level, the PM 2.5 of the National Capital Region as we speak is around 188. And if you do the math, it comes down to smoking 6 cigarettes in 24 hours. That's what you and I are forced to smoke or inhale. That's the reality of where we are living. And as I mentioned, this was upon us. This was all upon us. Meanwhile, there's a breaking news that's coming in as the air quality index has fallen to very poor. And as I said, it surged to 300, crossing 300, in fact, in parts of the National Capital Region. Stage 2 of GRAP has kicked in. What does this mean? Delhi metros to run additional services. Generator sets, the usage of generator sets are going to be regulated. Parking fee is going to be hiked to discourage private transporters, and strict monitoring of construction sites. One very simple question to the authorities: what stopped them from doing this before? But while we have been asking all those questions, my colleague Akanksha joins us at this point. Very good evening, Akanksha. A bad news that is upon us. We are living in bad times, but please give us what the details are.
Well, absolutely. You see, Delhi has turned into a gas chamber. Even I have headaches since the last few days, and that is what the people of the national capital are also facing. Respiratory issue, cardiovascular issue, and also depression is what the doctors have told us. But as far as the air quality index is concerned, it has gone from bad to now worse. Delhi air quality has dipped to very poor, graded. In fact, GRAP stage 2 has kicked in. In fact, for the viewers, I would like to tell them that there are 4 stages. Stage 1 is when AQI is between 201 to 300. That was last week. Now, for the last 2 days, we are seeing that the AQI is above 300. So that is why now the Commissioner for Air Quality Management has enforced GRAP 2 stage. Under that, in fact, as you were also mentioning, the vacuum sweeping of the roads is necessary, and also making sure that there is strict enforcement of the dust control measures at the construction and demolition sites. So all of these will, in fact, come into force at 8 a.m. Tomorrow morning. But this happens every year. Every year we see GRAP 1 stage is enforced, and GRAP 2, GRAP 3, and GRAP 4, but nothing absolutely changes. People who suffer, people of the national capital suffer. They go through all the diseases. In fact, we've been speaking to a lot of doctors since morning. They are saying that the cases of respiratory illnesses has increased in the last 1 week. A lot of people are coming to the hospitals with asthma, with other respiratory diseases, cardiovascular diseases, and also in some cases depression as well. So see, nothing really works. GRAP 2 is imposed, strict restrictions are imposed, but nothing really changed.
Right. Thank you very much, Akanksha, for joining us. And amid all of this, ladies and gentlemen, there is the back and forth that is happening. It's been happening for the past few weeks, and unfortunately, it's only going to continue. That is regarding the pollution contributors, whether it be the farm fires or the stubble burning at the outskirts of Delhi across 2 states, particularly Haryana and Punjab, or even if it be other contributors like vehicular pollution or industry and factory pollutions. Let's just get our panelists at this point. I'm going to be joined by a couple of them, but at this moment, I have Neoma Gupta with me, who's a spokesperson for BJP, as well as Bhavreen Kandari, who's an activist and member for My Right to Breathe. Good evening to both of you. Bhavreen, my question to you, and it's upon us, Bhavreen. Just a very basic question that I have to ask, and honestly, the Delhi government needs to answer this. Beyond politics, GRAP 2 could have been kicked in quite a long back. This could have been a very long drawn measure. I don't understand why can't Metro run additional numbers? Why can't parking fee be hiked anyway? So on and so forth. These are things that should have been anyway there when you know that Delhi is going to be at the cusp of it all again.
Yes, Neha, absolutely. I mean, you've been speaking very loudly about this, and not only as of now, you've been speaking the rest of the year also. And as we have spoken earlier, this is not about only these 2-3 months. We've lived in very poor, severe air even in the rest of the year. It's only that because of the geographical conditions and the climatic conditions, the winter setting in, temperature for decreasing, that we tend to see the smog. Otherwise, our children are breathing the toxicity every single day in the city. So what you said is absolutely correct, that every measure, every decision that's being taken right now, whether it is about, whether you're giving extra metro or, rides or a good public transport. Besides that, even, other benefits of moving away from not the techno, because I got distracted, because I just want to emphasize that not on the techno fixes like the smog guns, and those smog guns are needed also throughout the year on the construction sites, etc. So these are measures that should have been taken throughout the year and years. Like if you are even calling for a ban on fireworks, it should be done now, as of now, for the next year. You cannot come into September and October and start saying things. It's not going to work out. It's supposed to be now in a larger picture. Everything needs to be brought in. These reforms, they are basically going to be long-term reforms that need to be brought in terms of policy, in terms of systemic changes. It is ridiculous to be working on PM10, which is all this construction dust and smog guns and water sprinkling is for PM10, while the problem right now is PM 2.5. Right. So you are actually generating the PM 2.5 when you're using these vehicles and equipment to cut down PM10. So there's a whole lot of conflict. And the blame game doesn't help all this. It's just about very, very sincere, first acceptance, not denial. Because every time you do blame game, either government, that means they are in denial. And that is absolutely not helping, as you and I can see.
Right. Bhavreen, let me just take your responses directly to Advocate Anmol Panwar at this point. Good evening, Advocate. A very simple question that I have to ask. GRAP 2 has kicked in, has now been enforced. What stopped the government from kickstarting GRAP 2, say, several months back? Today, you and I are being forced to smoke around 6 cigarettes a day with 188 2.5 p.m. This essentially means that you and I and our viewers are smoking around 5 to 6 cigarettes in 24 hours if we are exposed to this. A pack of cigarettes has 10, and as I said, I'm not advertising for cigarette. I'm just trying to say something that has a horrible imagery on its cover that says it's extremely injurious to health. All of us are smoking around 5 to 6 equivalent of it with this toxic air. GRAP 2 has been kicked in. Why couldn't it be kicked in? More metro lines, higher parking services, higher parking rates, more stricter regulations for construction. Why not do this months ago? Advocate Anmol Panwar.
Snehaji, pollution certainly is a matter of great concern. And as far as Delhi government is concerned and Punjab government is concerned, we are the only government in this country who have taken strict actions and all the possible measures to curb pollution. And this has been accepted even by the Institute of Agriculture, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, which has stated, it's a central government agency, and the data says that more than 50% incidents of stubble burning have come down in the last 3 years. Now, the question is, the BJP-ruled Haryana government, in last 1 year, the pollution level has increased by more than 1.5 times. And the Supreme Court has wrapped the Haryana government. Now, the question which arises, what steps they have taken to combat pollution? Because the air of Delhi is getting directly affected by the recent incidents we have seen in Karnal, in
Advocate
Kaithal,
Anmol Panwar,
and in
I will
other parts of
100% take your
Haryana.
question to the BJP, but you haven't answered my question. With all due fairness and respect, Advocate Anmol Panwar, you haven't answered my question, so I'll persist you with that.
Just a
What
minute.
stopped the
I need
government
30.
from enforcing GRAP 2 earlier?
We are providing 24/7 electricity to the citizens. Tell me a single state other than Delhi and Punjab which are doing so, because that has reduced the pollution coming from generators. We have introduced a progressive EV policy. Tell me a single state other than Delhi and Punjab which has introduced the EV policy. And we have the largest fleet of public buses, more than 2267 buses. We are number 1 in India and number 2 in the world as far as electric buses are concerned. Tell me a single state ruled by BJP which has done so. There are more than 20 cities which have highest level of pollution as per World Air Quality Report 2023, which are in Haryana. What steps have the Haryana government taken to curb pollution? Motive is clear before the whole country.
How would you want to respond to what Advocate Anmol is saying?
People of Delhi.
Neoma Gupta.
See, look at
Neoma Gupta, and of course, Advocate Anmol, let me just state a fact. Advocate Anmol very conveniently spoke about Haryana, and yes, Haryana stubble burning, farm fires are a huge concern. But as latest as last week, the Supreme Court also spoke about Punjab and Haryana both. So it was not just a rap on Haryana, it was a rap on Punjab as well. But Neoma Gupta, how do you respond to Haryana? How do you respond to all the allegations? I mean, the counter that Advocate Anmol has really made.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, keeping the sentiment in mind, because I'm a Delhiite myself and breathing toxic air, the AQI today has crossed 350, and here we are arguing about the same thing for the 10th year in a row. Let's forget the political parties, forget the action plans, let's even forget the rivalries, forget everything. If you haven't been able to even slightly reduce the same problem for 10 years, is it not obvious to even a little child that you have failed in executing what you had promised in your manifesto? And when it comes to stubble burning, I would like to take this issue and rest it once and for all, because I want to actually ask the Aam Aadmi Party, does stubble burning contribute to pollution here, yes or no? And I'll tell you the reason I ask this is because they don't seem to have made up their mind on this subject, knowing fully well that you'll be cornered whenever this is taken up. In fact, CM Atishi just said that BJP was responsible for Delhi's pollution because it's unable to control stubble burning in other states. But dozens of times, your leaders have made completely opposite statements for the above. So Haryana, Punjab, whatever it is, Delhi itself has to control the situation. You came up with your winter action plan, which was a 21-pointer, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me on the technical if I'm wrong. Look at the despicable conditions of the roads. Why don't you clean those? Why don't you take effective measures for what is required to be done? I'll go a step further if you allow me literally 30 seconds. When it comes to generating, there's more than 11,000 tons of solid waste, which is 25% is not processed. This unprocessed waste and garbage gets accumulated on the streets and vacant plots throughout Delhi, which is actually a major source of pollution. What is the detailed plan for this? Again, they will say the center is not doing something.
Neoma Gupta, I'll take that just the way I took Advocate Anmol's question to you. I will take yours to him as well for a response. But Neoma Gupta, very quickly, it's not like the BJP-led governments, including in Haryana, has not been facing the flak. They've got some very, very serious questions to answer from the Supreme Court directly, including very petty little fines, not really adequate at all.
Ma'am, please understand, fundamentally, Parali or any contributor of pollution has to be stopped. But when you're in Delhi, one has to focus within the city and then go outward. So, I mean, look, just a small example, if I can give you, look at the toxic condition of Yamuna. Can we force it down to any other relevant relationship for this? I mean, you have fecal coliform coming out of there. Every state has to stop Parali burning. It's a given. There's no debate for me on that. Most importantly, please, you've been in the government for 10 years. What have you done for Delhi? It's so easy to get on the defensive and so easy to counter those points again and again.
Irony dies several deaths when we really say that Delhi has to look at it first as a Delhi problem. Unfortunately, air knows no boundaries. But Advocate Anmol Panwar, the truth also remains that Delhi votes you to power. The truth also remains that you go to people asking for votes. And if year on year, this is the story for 10 years, what's changed? I mean, let's face it, you may say XYZ things done, but you can't put it all just on stubble burning. Are we essentially saying that things have just fallen apart? Smoke guns got a rap from the court. Efforts taken have taken a rap from the court. There have been steps that have been taken from the government when it comes to electrical vehicles, for that matter. Well, welcomed. But a lot of measures that have kicked in over the last few days could have actually kicked in few months back. Can't they be a long-term measure? I mean, we are already debating this very late, but I have something to save my skin. I can say this is not the first time we are talking about this.
Sneha ji, these are not just XYZ steps, as you said. These are the steps taken by Delhi government has reduced the pollution in Delhi by more than 34%. And the BJP spokesperson very conveniently chose to ignore and didn't answer a single question asked by me. ये बताएं ना एक भी ऐसा राज्य जहां ईवी पॉलिसी इन्होंने लागू की हो. ये बताएं एक भी राज्य जहां पे इन्होंने थर्मल प्लांट्स को जो है डीजल से पीएनजी पे कन्वर्ट किया हो. ये बताएं एक भी राज्य जहां पे ट्री ट्रांसप्लांटेशन पॉलिसी इन्होंने इंट्रोड्यूस की हो. ये बताएं एक भी राज्य जहां पे ग्रीन कवर इन्होंने 20% से 23% बढ़ाया हो. ये बताएं एक भी राज्य जहां पे पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट को इन्होंने बूस्ट किया हो एंड
point
converted it
we
to
are
electric
still,
vehicles.
see,
Not a single
Advocate
state.
Anmol,
And
Advocate
their
Anmol.
intent and their true motives are evident to the entire nation with the Delhi elections near the horizon. They just want to deflect the blame on Delhi government and they're facing rap day in and day out from the Honorable Supreme Court. Why has the Haryana government not taken any action to curb pollution levels when even the world data says that more than 20 polluted cities are in state of Haryana? What has the Haryana government done in last 10 years? एक भी बस नहीं चलती इलेक्ट्रिक पे इनकी हरियाणा सरकार की.
Neoma Gupta, very quickly, 30 seconds, and then I need to move on to the other panelists, please.
Sorry.
Neoma Gupta.
You know, there's a very common trait in humans that which is becoming overly aggressive and defensive when one is cornered. I'd like to just, though I'm not
simple question, simple specific question which you have not answered.
When it comes
the people are living. I mean, just imagine the kind of plight of people of Delhi.
May I be allowed to speak? May I be allowed to speak?
Advocate Anmol, kindly allow Neoma to speak.
Thank you. Let's maintain
30 seconds.
For stubble burning, the Haryana government has implemented a framework which includes a C2 crop residue management, which, you know, is effective monitoring. Due to constant efforts, there has been a drastic reduction in the diesel run generators. More than 72,000 stubble machines have been provided to farmers for stubble management. Haryana has allowed only green crackers. So when it comes to steps are being taken. But when it comes to your steps, where is the effectiveness? Why is Delhi 10th year in a row suffering?
Okay, let me just go across to Bhanu Pratap Singh, who's also a farmer leader. Bhanu Pratap Singh, आप हमें सुन रहे होंगे. आपके पेशेंस के लिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. आपके पास थोड़ी देर से आ रही हूं मैं. भानु प्रताप सिंह, आप सुन रहे हैं कि पोल्यूशन बढ़ रहा है दिल्ली और दिल्ली के आसपास के इलाकों में. जो ये स्टबल बर्निंग है, फार्म फायर्स है, ये जो काफी इलाकों से पंजाब हो या हरियाणा हो, वहां से अभी आते जा रहा है. हर रोज इसके विजुअल्स आ रहे हैं. आप लोग फार्मर लीडर होने के नाते इसको कैसे देख रहे हैं? सुप्रीम कोर्ट से भी आपको काफी क्वेश्चंस आए हैं.
जी, ऐसा है जैसे कृषि वैज्ञानिक तमाम विज्ञान के द्वारा तमाम नई नई खोज करते हैं, तो इसको खत्म करने का मेरी समझ में, मेरी राय में, क्योंकि हम देश प्रेमी हैं और हमारे कर्म से, किसी से, किसान के कर्म से कोई नुकसान होता है तो वो अच्छी बात नहीं है. तो इसलिए यदि ऐसा ही है कि पनारी से ही प्रदूषण हो रहा है तो कोई और वैज्ञानिक योजना या कोई ऐसी गतिविधि बतावें ताकि से वो हमारा ये काम हल हो जाए, तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. हेलो
भानु प्रताप सिंह जी, नॉर्थ इंडिया में ऐसे स्टबल बर्निंग नॉर्मल नहीं है. बाकी स्टेट्स में, अगर पंजाब और हरियाणा में देखा जाए, सरकार की तरफ से आपके पास ऑल्टरनेटिव्स आए हैं, तो वो यूज क्यों नहीं किया जा रहा है, चाहे वो सेंटर हो या स्टेट हो?
जब आएंगे तो यूज करेंगे. आया ही नहीं अभी ऐसा, तब हमारे किसानों के पास कोई तरीका उसको खत्म करने का, यूज करने का आएगा कि इससे ऐसे हो जाता है, तो क्यों नहीं करेंगे? आया नहीं है, केवल बनावटी बात कह दी
ऑल्टरनेट
जाती है,
तरीके तो आपके
कागजों पे
पास
कह
आए
दी
हुए
जाती
हैं,
है।
सरकार ने दिया हुआ है,
जो
सरकार ने सब्सिडीज का भी घोषणा किया गया है कि आप वो ज्यादा यूज करेंगे तो आपको स्टबल बर्न करना नहीं पड़ेगा। आप बोल रहे हैं कि सरकार में आपके पास कोई आके इन सब चीजों के बारे में बात नहीं की है?
ऐसा है, यदि सरकार कोशिश करेगी, बात करेगी, तो क्यों नहीं माना जाएगा? लेकिन अब केवल खाना पूर्ति हो रही है।
Neoma, very
मैडम,
quickly, Neoma, respond to this very
नहीं,
quickly.
कोशिश
Neoma,
नहीं
very
की जा रही।
quickly. You're listening
नहीं,
to
किसान
what a
को
farmer
आगे
leader is saying.
I
He's saying if the government wants, what will stop
जी
the farmers from cooperating?
No, I'm sure there are a lot of measures which have been implemented. I don't know where it's got lost in translation vis-a-vis this representative. And when it comes to, the government, can I just tell you, Delhi was given about 38.22 crores by the NCAP funds in 2019 and 23-24, of which they spent 10 crores. Only they can tell us why. Apart from this, center given funds for crop residue management. They had enacted GRAP measures, built roads, highways, Dwarka Expressway, enacted the FAME schemes, EV permit exemptions, etc. I just want to explain,
Okay.
please try to
All right.
understand. Yes, ma'am.
I'm
Just
less
30
than a
seconds.
minute.
5
I'm sorry,
seconds.
I'm going to cut you short, Neoma, because
Okay,
this.
5 seconds.
Okay.
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 No, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't want to cut you.
Okay, this is going to get a lot, very much lost in political back and forth, but there's a very
Right.
important voice I want to get back again. Bhavreen Kandari. Bhavreen,
Yeah.
so it's there upon us. We are already crossed 300. We are almost at 188. Any moment from now, it will be 2.5 p.m. of around 200. Bhavreen Kandari, how are kids going to be going to school? School days are going to be there for the next 2 months, Bhavreen Kandari. Obviously, the kids have to be wearing their masks and going. What is your big concern? Because that's also something that you have been advocating for a lot for the young children.
Yes, Neha, sadly, they have to, and they have been. I mean, like, I'll repeat that again. We have lived in a 300, 350 throughout, practically throughout the year, except for those few monsoon weeks. Otherwise, and then also we didn't get a single good air day. So, and also I must remind when we talk about schools, it's very important for the governments to place equity and social justice at the heart of decision making. The masses will not have rooms and purifiers and places to stay. They will anyway be out. They will be, facing this the wrath of toxicity each day, each minute, each second. So that is the reason that we need clean air, and we don't need gadgets, and we don't need these techno fixes. We are right now at a crossroad where the decisions that all these leaders will take will now influence the air that currently we are breathing, or the future generations will breathe. So they have to set very specific, clear, long-term goals. And I would also request you, Sneha, in future shows you should request the political leaders not to speak besides their own states. What are they planning to do? What are they wanting to do in their own jurisdiction? Because all the time this blame game takes most of the time. So solutions is what we need. They have to reduce emissions at source. That means you will have to be extremely vigilant. Right now, DPCC has 45% vacant posts. Haryana Pollution Board has vacant posts. UP Pollution Board has vacant posts. What are we waiting for? You need extra help right now. And instead, in spite of that, forget that. You don't even have your own people throughout the year. Who will go? The green apps are not going to go jumping on the ground to check violations.
Okay. Let me just give, I have less than a minute. I'm going to give 15 seconds. Advocate Anmol, Panwar, please respond. Important questions. And it's true for Delhi bodies as well. Vacancies galore. And the challenge right before us, we're in the thick of it, quite literally.
The services is under the Lieutenant Governor, and it has been, despite 5-judge constitutional bench giving a decision in the favor of elected government. So all the posting, transfer, and appointment that comes directly under Lieutenant Governor, and it is for the BJP to respond that And their concern can also be gathered from the fact that the Delhi government has written time and again to the neighboring states and the central government, seeking their
Niyama
cooperation
Gupta,
to curb
10
pollution.
seconds,
But they
please
have received
respond.
no response. We have received no response.
Niyama Gupta, please respond.
First of all, I'd like to appreciate what your environmentalist activist said, that the problem has to be sorted at the root of the jurisdiction of the place. Secondly, from, problem with AAP is that they want the center to handle policy, infrastructure, give funds, as well as handle implementation. I don't understand why they're the ruling party, because there's blaming the center. And interestingly, mostly at the last moment when you realize the backs are against the wall and the half-baked strategies are not working.
He won't answer.
So please just face the mirror before pointing fingers.
He won't answer.
All right, we are out of time
answers.
and quite honestly out of breath. That's what many in the National Capital Region for the days to come are going to be. It's not going to be any easier this year than it was before. Let's just gear up with our masks and whatever else we can. Again, it's just a matter of privilege. Many of us can have air purifiers, which itself is a matter of debate, with the centre asking for responses from the companies of air purifiers. Nonetheless, the path ahead is not easy. Advocate Anmol Panwar, Niyama Gupta, Bhavreen Kandari, as well as Bhanu Pratap Singh, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you so much.